You conduct a boat check before leaving the dock for a reason, and we found a reason today, unfortunately, in our boat trip. We're heading out for a trip overnight and want to have an enjoyable time. We found in our boat check, when you look at our water gauge, it's empty, and in our normal boat check, we found that it is not the gauge. There's some water in the bilge, and there's no water in the holding tank. So we're going to look for where that problem is and how to address it. I'm Dave. I'm a former boat captain with a 100-ton near coastal license and a proud owner of a Jeanneau 1095. Join us as we fix a freshwater leak on our Jeanneau 1095. It had been a month since we'd taken our boat out, so when we were filming a boat check, which we had to do before going out, we had to update our Garmin, and we found this problem with the water. So we're going to check the water system from several Jeanneau owners. If you are on Facebook on the Jeanneau 1095 site, we've heard of some other Jeanneau owners having a problem with fresh water, and in fact it was a easy problem to identify once we were starting to look at it. Several Jeanneau owners have mentioned having a leak from their freshwater shower at the aft, so that's the first place we're going to check, and we're going to look at how we can repair that on board. Several Jeanneau owners have mentioned that they've had a freshwater leak in the past, so the first place we're checking is here in our freshwater aft deck. And you can see that's right where it is. We have this leak, we have this hole right in on the hose. Looks like a pretty straightforward fix, but before we go out, I'm gonna have to fix this and fill the water tank. Hopefully this is a pretty easy fix. Hopefully I have the tools on board. I've not pre-done this. So it comes right apart. Looks like there's a little corrosion, and there's a fitting on here. I don't know if I'll be able to crimp it on, but we're gonna try it out. We're gonna cut this piece off, try and crimp this piece on, and get back underway. So we've grabbed the toolkit, we pulled this apart. We just grab out some scissors, and this, you can see it just split down the side of this hose. Cut straight across. Now, I don't have an easy way to connect this fitting. It's crimped in place. Let's see if we can push the end of this out without dropping it in the water. Well, looks like we need to get a part. We're gonna go to check out West Marine and see if we can find a small hose crimp. See what we can do. We spent about an hour and a half looking at different places to get a way to fix this. So there was a leak in the line on the hose. There's a crimp compression fitting on the end that we couldn't find a replacement for, so it didn't look the same. We took the Jeanneau handle and we looked for something that fit it well. It's a 1/2-inch fitting, worked, but we didn't want to use any metal on metal because the threads are not quite 1/2-inch. So we ended up finding Pex 1/2-inch by 1/2-inch fitting. One side's threaded, it has a gasket inside so it screws down, and the other side is a 1/2-inch that goes, that'll feed right in. The downside of these fittings is, you can see they have these little wings. The wings don't allow the fitting to fit inside. So the wings block this here. So there weren't any without these little wings. We're trying to go out this afternoon, so how do we make a fix at the dock? Just our pliers. They slide right off, or clip right off. They're not that sharp, so just crimping them off. If you could buy them without the little wings, it'll recess. Oh, son of a bitch. And Don't do this at the back of the boat because if I fall in the water, luckily it's a 5-pack. That was actually the second one that I dropped in the water doing this. I should move in into the cockpit. Break these off away from the edge of the dock. So once these are off, the PEX fitting will fit on the end of the hose bib. So we're going to take just as a number 4 hose clamp, and this is again a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. We're going to feed it on into the hose. Feeds onto the hose. We pull up the hose clamp to clamp it tight. The hose clamp, this is just the number 4 hose clamp that we have spares of on board. The reason we went with the PEX, again, is it's a swivel, screws on, and it has a hose gasket in the end. So we screw this in place. Locks down nicely. We didn't want to have metal on metal. These are not that, nothing's really sharp from that. Make sure this is tightly in place. Hose clamped, and then it just slides away as it was always supposed to. But when you take those little edges off, it slides away and is put down. So now we're gonna fill up our hose with water, and hopefully we've repaired the leak. We'll check it out after we have our tank filled up. We're gonna fill a 1/4 away, and then we're gonna put in water treatment to the tank. It's been empty for about a month. The thing I really like about the Jeanneau boats is the color coding on all the through holes. The blue is still water. The brown is for your wastewater tank. You don't want to get those too confused. First off, the gauge is full, so it's held water filled all the way up. We did the water treatment when it was there. We have the hot water on. How'd we do on the hose? Oh no. Well, we're not getting water. That means we have another problem. It's probably the water pump. We're not leaking, but we're not running water. To get to the water pump, we crawl back into the 3rd cabin, and we've got to kind of reach back here, and you can hear in the background, we've got this pump running. This is the water pump that we can hear is running. So we know there's electricity to the water pump, but it is not putting water through. We know the tank is full, so we need to explore some options here. Facing the water pump on the left-hand side is the inflow with a water filter, and on the right side would be the outflow of the fresh water to the rest of the boat. We now have the power off to the pump. We're going to check on the inflow side. We're going to open this water filter here to see if there's water flow to the pump from the water tank. Want to just loosen that up, and if there's any debris, let that out. There is some water that comes to this, so we're going to tighten that back up. We know there's water flow. Now we're going to have this little clip that we're going to pull and pull out the outflow. The water's off. There's no power on. There's no water coming through. But we're going to test this now to see if we can get water with this side unhooked. One of the giveaways that we had a water problem was this water in the bilge. This is normally dry. So we're up at the helm now, turning on the power. You can see when we turn it on, now water is flowing through on the outflow. I actually have to check the video to make sure this worked because I was doing this solo and up at the helm. We now have video evidence of outflow from the water pump, which is fantastic. Getting kind of excited to go on our actual boat trip. So we're going to reconnect this hose to the pump. It's a clip. It's easy to push it in and then clip it back on. Now we're going to go check the faucets to make sure our work is done here. The moment of truth going into the head. We turn on the water here. The sink is working. One of the places that was a red flag in our boat check. We move up to the galley. You can see the water comes on here in the galley at the main sink. Finally, moving aft, we check out the shower that was the bane of our existence today, where we had the water leak, and it's now working as well. just a typical day of boat ownership. We did a boat check. We're gonna go out on a trip, and we found we had a water leak. We noticed that from the gauge being empty on the water. We inspected the bilge, saw water in that, and the tanks were all empty. We checked the first place, the aft shower, which we've heard other Jeanneau owners have a leak on, and that in fact what it was. There was a crimp in the hose was broken. We could not find a compression fitting to match, so we used the Pex compression fitting. It was a 1/2" male with a screw-in 1/2" female adapter. It was plastic, so it fit the slightly different ring settings that are on the Jeanneau. Was able to get that fixed, and then water pressure didn't work. So we had to go troubleshoot the water pressure. When we had the power on, we could hear that the pump was running, so we knew that it wasn't electrical. Then we checked the inflow. There was water that came out, a little bit of debris, so there might have been debris blocking that. We put the inflow back on, and then we checked the running again. The water wasn't running, so we went back, took out the outflow, ran the pump with that exposed, with that hose off, water came out fine. So there was some kind of pressure lock on the pump that once we primed it, it worked, and now the whole system's running. Couple hours delayed in getting out on the water, but we're all good to go. Everything's fixed. And that's why you check your boat. The more often you run your boat, the less likely those problems are to happen. Glad we got it fixed. Until next time, have fun, be safe, be happy.